Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining this morning, being here with Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. I'm Michael. I'm going to be doing a little bit of talking, a little bit of breath work, and we'll get into a little bit of meditative practice. And you guessed it, I'm happy to be here. So good morning, this lovely late May morning. It's almost summer here. You can feel the shift a little more starkly. You know, we start off with cool mornings and then it's warm midday, and you can already hear the grumblings, uh, the resentments about the heat that's coming, or the resentments about the cold morning. And I was thinking about that. I even started to write a little poem about doing dishes and about begrudging the sink. But then when I placed my soft hands in the water and caressed the plate and the spoon and the glass, I started to have this warmth that came through me. And it was as if the act that I really had a block in doing it. It's not that I'm opposed to doing dishes. It's not, none of that. But there was something, anybody who's got a pile of unfolded laundry on the chair beside their bed or on the couch in the living room can tell you that ineffable feeling of, I don't want to. And that's, I think, what I was feeling. I was feeling the I don't want to in this moment when I was washing some dishes last night. And when I went to wash dishes. And then I realized that this action is just as much a part of eating the food, which is just as much a part of gathering the food, which is just as much a part of growing the food, or tending to the food as it grows, is probably a more accurate assessment of what it is to farm or garden. You're a tender. You're not actually doing the growing, but it's you that grows too with that practice, and it happens all through it, right? Like putting your hands in the soil, you feel yourself grow. You tend to the plants as they grow, and then you harvest and you eat the plants, and it helps you to grow. But then this, who's going to do the dishes question. This has always been the question in collective living. When you live in communes or collectives, talk about the revolution, but who's going to do the dishes? But it dawned on me at age 45, standing over the sink, washing dishes, how much this is actually nourishing me in this moment. And as I was moving through the plates, I could not have the story of, who doesn't rinse their plate or whatever, that usual embattled inner dialogue has to say. It became more this gratitude, as I see my sons growing, and I see my family, really doing all right. There's difficulties. We have difficulties, of course. But I'm standing over the dishes And anybody in my family will tell you that it is not a regular occurrence that I'm doing the dishes. And that comes from that I used to do a lot of the cooking, all of the cooking, for some in some ways, or at least a lot. I did a lot of the cooking. And, uh, and we had a deal. We struck a deal that the cook doesn't have to do the dishes, right? Um, and it's something that I really love cooking, and I'm pretty good at it. So I would cook meals, and then somebody else in the family would do the dishes. And so it wasn't something that I was often doing. Um, so it's not a job that I have every day. So I don't have this reason to not want to do the dishes because I always have to do these. It wasn't that. It was this other feeling that I think it's just something that gets stuck when we know that there's an opportunity to bring this next thing to completion. Um, our mind runs away from those levels of completion, and we jump to something else. Beginnings are always more exciting than endings, I guess. But as I'm doing these dishes and I'm thinking about this, I'm like, this is really gratitude that I'm feeling for these dirty dishes, for my family being fed, and for the food that we were able to gather, um, from the store or from the farmer's market, from people who put their hands in the earth to bring this food to us. And it was just this recognition in that moment, like, oh, we're each a part of this. We're each a part of this. And it may seem really silly, it's like, it's not Buddha on the mountaintop having the realization of we're all one. It's not a DMT session, by the river where you see the connective webs of life that hold us all together, brother bear. It's just a simple practice. It's a simple practice of simple things. But just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy. I guess it probably took a lot of work for my mind to get there at age 45. How many dishes have these hands washed, working in restaurants and whatnot? And then it took to age 45 to have this kind of settled gratitude come into my body. And I just thought it was a good moment, a good moment. And maybe when I write that poem, I'll share that here on the on the morning sit. But there's another poem that I wanted to share that experience kind of goes along with. Um, it's again, one of my go-to poets here on the morning sit is Mary Oliver. She is a fantastic voice for so many reasons, and uh, her poem "Song of the Builders." I kind of feel like it. You'll see. On a summer morning, I sat down on a hillside to think about God, a worthy pastime. Near me, I saw a single cricket. It was moving the grains of the hillside this way and that way. How great was its energy! How humble its effort! Let us hope it will always be like this, each of us going on in our inexplicable ways, building the universe. You ever have that feeling like when she's sitting there on the hillside thinking about God, and then she sees a single cricket. You see God in a cricket, right? God in the shine of the eye of a fly. That kind of a sentiment. But do you ever have that feeling that you're the cricket and you're just moving grains this way and that way? And from the viewpoint of the poet, she's got this greater view that this is just a few grains on an entire hillside. But from the viewpoint of the cricket, these grains are exactly what is needed to build this on this side and this on this side. These are the building blocks of this cricket's entire civilized way of being. As this cricket manufactures something different from what was to what is. And the cricket may or may not be fully aware of how large that hillside is and how small the task the cricket is performing is. But sometimes I think that's the suffering, is knowing or thinking or believing we know the size of the hillside in comparison to the small amount of things that we can do with our body and our mind in this space. And as soon as you start to even think that, well, my mind is so vast, it can do all of these things. Like, there's so much that our mind doesn't know, because there's so much that our eyes can't see and our skin can't feel and our nose can't smell. Our senses just aren't there. There's colors that we can't even begin to dream of that exist. And I think the suffering comes in sometimes feeling like, what could it matter? Moving the grain from this way and that way. And what could it matter on this hillside? But I love the way that the poet here, she states, "Let us hope it will always be like this, each of us going on in our inexplicable ways, building the universe." So as I come into work and I see the person asleep on the street here, and I see, an $80,000 travel vehicle parked in front of it as they're, traveling to or from. And there's probably somebody asleep in that $80,000 vehicle, and there's somebody asleep on a piece of cardboard with a blanket they got for free on the ground. And I just think, wow, each of us are in our inexplicable ways building the universe. What is that? And what about that practice of thinking of God in a cricket and do you think that the cricket maybe thinks of God in the grain? Maybe. In the grain of sand, the grain of dust, of dirt, that the cricket is moving from one side to the other. Do you think that God is the ticking of the clock to a person who's lying in their deathbed? What is it that we're pushing up a hill? And how is it not that that action is part of building the universe? It's got to be. It's got to be. What we're doing here, it's got to be a part of it. And I don't know why. But when I remember that, sometimes it takes a lot of the work out of it, the unnecessary work of worry, right? The unnecessary work of worry. Worrying about why this happens to me or why this happens to others, or just being able to settle down and just bring witness to the world unfolding. Nobody ever asked me to be the one to tell you why. It wasn't a job I was given at birth or an assignment that I took on. So I don't know why I think I have to figure it out. And that's helpful to me. That's helpful to me. So let's take a few breaths together this morning, because in many ways that is us part of building this universe. Now, I was talking with Finn yesterday, and there is he's studying in biology the way that certain life forms respond to other life forms, right? And he was sharing some things that he had learned about algae and how nitrogen and algae and all these things, these really intricate processes that take place that are so vastly different in some ways from the way you and I uh, grow and shift. You know, the anaerobic life forms and the life forms that create their own food and the life forms that can repopulate without a partner, seemingly, you know, these kind of things. And it reminded me of something that I learned about the origins of the world that we live in. Like, not the Big Bang, not things like that, those theories, but the origins of how you and I could have life. And there's this pretty strongly researched and held belief that there was a point where this earth was populated with life, right? Completely populated with life. Thriving, living planet. And then the introduction of this one thing to the planet killed off over 99% of all life on the planet. You know, and that one thing that was introduced that killed off almost every single living thing that this planet knew for, I don't know, ever, was oxygen. Oxygen introduced into the planet's atmosphere, freely into the air, was something that this life form had not been able to accommodate. Right? They lived on something else. And it was a poison to them. And then it came and it killed off almost everything pretty quickly. And from that, this oxygen helped to birth a new life form, life platform on the planet, where the life as we know it began. You know, this oxygen-based life up here. And it's just those kind of things that are built into our very DNA. They're built into the story of who we are, because we are a part of this oneness of existence on this planet, right? So that's in there. That's in that story. There's elements of that life before oxygen that exist inside of me and inside of you. And there's just something very soothing at this point in my life about thinking about that God cricket moving the grains to build the universe. And there I am, wiping dried spaghetti sauce off of a plate, building the universe. And there he is, asleep on the sidewalk, building the universe. And there she is, turning her face away, going to get her morning coffee, building the universe. We're all just doing it. It's already doing it. So take a moment, just find your meditation posture, that place in your body that you can hold a position for a little bit of time as we just give space and time and energy just to witness the breath as it's building the universe. Straightening the spine if you can. If you're seated in a chair as I am, just place your feet on the floor, across your legs in any number of positions. Wherever it is you need to get to hold a comfortable balance in your body. Then bring yourself there and bring that breath in through the nose to the bottom of the belly in a slow, long inhale. And feel that body stretch open. And as you breathe out of the mouth, feel that release. Breathing in. Let the shoulders relax. Bring the shoulder blades gently together in the back. Rest your hands on your lap. Breathe in. Just witness as your body breathes in and out. This is ordinary. Feel what it is to have this breath move into your body and create energy. And as the breath leaves the body, it takes with it the toxins and the things that you don't need anymore that will nourish something else. You let it go. And that little bit of thing that you let go is exactly what something else needs to bring in. And you bring in exactly what something else let go. We've done this since the moment we entered the world, and we'll do this until the moment we are ready to leave. It's quite ordinary. God is ordinary. Ordinary magic. It's it's all around us, I guess. But as someone once told me, there is no miracles and there's no mistakes. Boredom is the enemy of contentment. So learn how to watch a cricket move a grain and find God in the ordinary things. You'll never be bored again. Breathe in and out. And keep this practice as long as you'd like. Come back to it as many times as you'd like today. Thanks for being here this morning. Whether you're here for the live broadcast or you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms or wherever it is, I'm just wanting to tell you in this moment right now that what you're doing right now, whether it's driving a car or sitting in an office or still in your bed, wondering if you're going to put your feet on the ground at all today, wherever it is you are, I appreciate you for doing it, for helping build this universe. And I love the ordinary things about you. It's not your achievements. It's your presence. Whether you're on the cardboard, on the concrete, or in the 80,000 pounds of steel flying above us, wherever you are, it's just your presence. That can be enough. It really can. So thanks for showing up today. If you want to reach out, you can send me a message at journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I really would. It doesn't take much time to send a quick message, and it really could be the start of a wonderful conversation. Maybe it's that piece of grain that you need to move this way or that way. So thank you, friends. And thank you to the poet Mary Oliver for that wonderful poem. Again, the name of the poem is Song of the Builders from Mary Oliver. I took it from the volume 2 of New and Selected Poems. But I'm sure you can search for it in the Oracle or wherever it is you need to find these things. All right, friends. I love you all. It's nothing personal. We'll see you next week.